Welcome to Kanerika's podcast, The Digital Shift. I mean, usually when we talk about enterprise data pipelines, we are talking about, the invisible machinery.
Right, the plumbing.
Exactly. The plumbing, it just quietly hums along in the background. And honestly, as long as the executive dashboard loads in the morning, nobody thinks twice about it.
No, they really don't, until it breaks.
Right. But for enterprise IT teams all over the world, March 31st, 2026 it was not just a regular Tuesday. That was the day standard support for Informatica PowerCenter 10.5 officially died.
Yeah, and that silent machinery suddenly became the loudest alarm bell in the entire building.
Whoa, absolutely.
Because when foundational data infrastructure loses standard support, it transcends being just a simple IT headache, right? It immediately morphs into this massive operational and security vulnerability.
Which is exactly our mission for today. We are exploring some highly impactful content regarding this urgent mandate to modernize enterprise data pipelines.
It's a huge topic.
It really is. We are going to cover the hidden cascading dangers of clinging to these legacy systems. We'll break down how you actually choose the right modern cloud platform based on your company's architecture.
And how to avoid the absolute nightmare of a multi-year manual migration.
Yes, please. And ultimately, we'll talk about how fixing this underlying plumbing paves the way for what we all want, which is deploying autonomous AI.
And I just want to say, this matters immensely for you listening right now. I mean, whether you are an IT leader managing this exact transition or, you're just curious about enterprise tech, the stakes are incredibly high.
We're talking millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars in IT budget, massive compliance vulnerabilities, and a very stark dividing line. Companies will either adapt their data foundations for the AI era or, well, they will be left completely behind by competitors who did.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with the burning platform itself. Why is staying put on Informatica PowerCenter simply no longer an option?
Well, look at the landscape. Salesforce acquired Informatica, and they made their future roadmap crystal clear.
Yeah, they really did.
Traditional on-premises ETL, extract, transform, load processes, they're just not the priority anymore.
Yeah.
Salesforce is driving toward their own data cloud and their own proprietary AI ecosystem.
So they're pushing toward a cloud-first future.
Exactly. So if you are an enterprise still running a massive on-premises PowerCenter deployment, you are effectively stranded on an island.
And with standard support ending on March 31st, 2026, that means, what, no more automatic security patches?
Right. No more routine bug fixes for the core platform. If a new zero-day vulnerability is discovered tomorrow, that door just stays open.
Wow. So what's the recourse?
Your only recourse is paying compounding premium rates for extended support. You end up paying what is essentially a ransom just to keep a dying vulnerable system on life support.
And the financial bleed doesn't even stop at support fees, does it? The content points out that it's baked right into the foundational licensing model.
Oh, the per CPU licensing.
Yeah, right. Informatica charges on a per CPU basis. So say your company acquires another business or you just expand operations, your data volume naturally grows.
And to process that data, you have to spin up more computing power.
Exactly. And the moment you add more processors, your licensing costs explode right alongside it, basically with no ceiling.
It's crazy because you are being financially penalized for your own business growth. You're paying increasingly larger sums of money for a legacy platform that is, frankly, delivering less and less new value.
Hold on, though. I want to push back on this a little bit.
Sure, go ahead.
In the enterprise IT world, if it ain't broke, don't fix it is basically a religion. Migrations are universally feared.
Oh, 100%.
So if my data is still moving today, right, and my quarterly reports are generating just fine this afternoon, why am I suddenly panicking? Why am I tearing out the floorboards just because of a vendor update schedule?
It's a fair question, but if it ain't broke, only applies to surface-level functionality. It does not apply to foundational security or compliance.
Oh.
Think of it like this. Staying on an unpatched system is like running your company's entire manufacturing plant on an isolated power grid from the 1990s.
Okay, I like this analogy.
The machines currently plugged into it might still turn on today, but the manufacturer officially stopped making replacement fuses. And worse, you can't plug any modern equipment into it.
Like a commercial truck where they stop making the brake pads?
Yes. And using an unsupported system in regulated industries like global finance or healthcare It's a massive boardroom liability.
Because if you suffer a data breach,
Or even just fail a routine compliance audit because your foundational tool is obsolete,
yeah,
regulators do not care that your daily reports are still running.
liability is just too high, so staying put is a guaranteed slow-motion disaster.
Exactly.
So if the cost of manually nursing this old grid breaks the budget, we have to modernize. We need a destination. The content highlights three major targets for modern data pipelines. Let's look at the first contender, Talend or Click Talend, as it's known now.
Yeah, Talent is a huge one.
What is the fundamental difference that makes Talend such a strong landing spot?
Well, Talent completely flips the script on the architectural and financial pain points we just talked about. First off, the cost structure is entirely different.
How much cheaper are we talking?
Talent's open source core and flat subscription model can lower licensing costs by up to 75%.
Wow, 75%, because it breaks that per CPU trap.
Precisely. You are no longer penalized for processing more data. And second, because it's built on open standards, there is no vendor lock-in.
So you can go to Amazon, Azure, Google.
Right. You deploy natively across AWS, Azure, or GCP. But the most critical technical difference is that Talend supports real-time data streaming.
Okay, as opposed to Informatica's batch processing.
Exactly. Informatica is heavily built around moving data in massive chunks overnight.
Which is crazy to me. Waiting for overnight batch jobs in 2026 is like waiting for the morning newspaper to get the final score of a baseball game that ended 12 hours ago.
That's exactly what it is. And it's completely unviable for a modern business.
But let's say a company wants something more unified. The content also brings up Microsoft Fabric as a destination. I understand Fabric is the choice if you're already deeply embedded in the Microsoft ecosystem.
Yeah, Microsoft Fabric is all about consolidating your entire data estate. So if your company already runs its infrastructure on Azure, you use Power BI for all your dashboards, and you rely on Microsoft's governance tools.
You want Fabric because it's designed so all those components talk to each other seamlessly.
Exactly. You don't have to stitch together different tools for data engineering, analytics, and security. It is literally all under one roof.
Okay, and then there is the third major destination, Databricks. The content positions Databricks as the target if your core strategy revolves heavily around AI, machine learning workloads, and this thing called a lakehouse architecture.
The lakehouse, yes.
Wait, for the uninitiated, including maybe myself, what exactly makes a lakehouse fundamentally different from a standard data warehouse?
It's a great distinction to make. So historically, you had data warehouses, right? They are highly structured, organized, and great for standard reporting.
But they're expensive.
Very expensive and very rigid. Then on the other hand, you had data lakes.
Which are just massive storage pools for raw data.
Right. Cheap and massive. But they often turn into messy data swamps that are basically impossible to analyze. So a lakehouse architecture merges the two.
Oh, I see.
It gives you the massive, cheap scalability of a data lake, but it layers on the organization, reliability, and performance of a traditional warehouse. And Databricks pioneered this.
So you choose Databricks if you are building heavy-duty predictive AI models that need to chew through petabytes of raw data at scale.
Exactly. What's fascinating here is that moving off Informatica isn't just a basic lift and shift exercise where you swap one brand for another. It is a strategic realignment.
Yeah, it sounds like a profound choice. It's like a real estate decision, right? Do you want a highly flexible, cost-effective apartment you can customize, which is Talend, or a fully integrated smart home where all the appliances talk to each other? That's Fabric. Or do you need a heavy-duty industrial workshop for building future tech, which would be Databricks?
That is a perfect way to look at it. Because picking the wrong platform up front is the most expensive mistake a business can make. You have to align the destination with your actual business strategy.
Okay, so let's say leadership has made the call. You know where you are moving. Here is where the reality check hits incredibly hard.
Oh yeah, the actual journey.
The actual migration project itself is where most companies completely crash. The content throws out a staggering statistic. Over 80% of enterprise data migration projects miss their deadlines or wildly exceed their budgets.
It is an industry-wide epidemic of underestimation.
80%.
Yeah. A standard manual migration for a large enterprise takes, on average, 12 to 18 months. I mean, think about the mechanics of what that entails.
Developers sitting down and typing.
Exactly. They have to sit down, look at the legacy Informatica environment, and manually rebuild thousands of complex data mappings, pipeline by pipeline, entirely from scratch in Talend or Databricks.
And from what I understand, the biggest landmine in that process isn't even writing the new code. It's a concept called undocumented business logic.
Oh, the silent killer of migrations.
Right. What does that actually look like in practice?
Okay, imagine a massive global shipping company.
Sure.
Back in, let's say, 2014, the European Union changed a highly specific value-added tax regulation for cross-border logistics.
Okay, a tax rule change.
Right. To comply, a data engineer at the shipping company hard codes a complex calculation rule directly into a nightly Informatica pipeline to adjust the tax rate automatically.
Just buries it in the code.
Exactly. And 2 years later, that engineer leaves the company. Now it is over a decade later. That rule is not written down in any training manual. It does not exist in any IT wiki.
It just lives silently inside the legacy system, firing off every single night.
Yes. And when developers try to manually rebuild those pipelines today, they look at this giant block of legacy code and have absolutely no idea why it is manipulating the tax data.
So if they guess wrong, or if they decide to streamline the pipeline and accidentally delete that step,
The company suddenly starts underpaying European taxes by millions of dollars.
wow, so the preparation phase for a manual migration must be monumental.
It's mandatory. You have to audit every single pipeline, map every hidden dependency, hunt down those undocumented business rules, and capture a flawless validation baseline before you move a single byte of data.
See, this is what I don't get. We're operating in 2026. We have AI that can write poetry, it can write entire software applications from a text prompt.
Sure.
So why on earth is moving data from system A to system B still a manual nightmare that takes a year and a half? Why can't we just point an AI at it and say, hey, translate this?
Because the task is not about translating syntax. It is about reverse engineering a decade of corporate memory.
Corporate memory. That makes sense.
Data pipelines are not isolated scripts. They're highly complex dependency chains. Pipeline A extracts the raw sales numbers, which triggers Pipeline B to calculate the regional commissions, which feeds Pipeline C that updates the payroll system.
So if a general AI messes up one link,
Exactly. General AI, like a large language model, is fantastic at writing isolated code. But it does not know the unique, unwritten operational history of your specific business. If it hallucinates or mistranslates one undocumented dependency, you cause a cascading logic failure across your entire production environment.
and sitting around for 12 to 18 months, paying expensive engineers to manually retype the history of the company while guessing at old tax rules. I mean, it's completely unacceptable.
It breaks the budget before you even see the benefits of the new platform.
And this is exactly why we at Kanerika built a specialized automated solution to solve this specific bottleneck.
Yes, and our approach completely changes the timeline paradigm. We at Kanerika developed a proprietary DataOps tool called the FLIP platform.
FLIP, right.
It is a low-code, no-code environment specifically engineered to automate up to 80% of the legacy Informatica to modern platform conversion.
For those who might not be deep in the engineering weeds, what does data ops mean in this context?
DataOps is really about applying agile software engineering principles directly to data management. It means removing the slow, error-prone manual bottlenecks.
Got it.
So instead of a human opening a pipeline, reading it, and typing out the equivalent in Talend, FIP uses advanced parsing engines to read the metadata of your entire Informatica environment at once.
And the mechanism here is brilliant because FLIP does not just blindly guess the business logic, right?
No, not at all.
It exports the legacy environment and automatically converts the foundational pipelines, bringing over those complex dependency chains completely intact.
Exactly. But crucially, when it encounters that weird, highly customized 2014 European tax rule, it explicitly flags that specific block of code for a human engineer to review.
So it automates the heavy lifting and isolates the nuance.
That's it. And that is exactly how we at Kanerika cut the migration timeline from 12 to 18 months down to just 2 to 8 weeks.
2 to 8 weeks. That timeline compression is what actually makes modernization financially viable.
Absolutely. Let's look at the concrete case study from the content. We at Kanerika helped a mid-sized financial services enterprise migrate an Informatica environment they had been building and modifying for 8 uninterrupted years.
8 years of dense, undocumented compliance logic. And in a highly regulated industry.
Yeah, and in finance, the regulators are constantly watching. A single dropped decimal place in a reporting pipeline triggers an audit.
So how long did they think it was going to take?
A manual migration for this firm was scoped by traditional consultants at well over a year. But using the FLIP platform, we finished the entire migration in 90 days.
90 days versus over a year.
The business results were definitive. A 75% reduction in overall migration effort, a 75% savings in annual licensing costs by moving to a modern platform, and most importantly for a financial firm, 0 post-go-live logic failures.
0 failures. Which means the corporate memory was perfectly preserved.
Yes.
It makes me think of the FLIP platform like a highly advanced literary translator.
Oh, how so?
Imagine you have to translate a 10,000-page historical book from one language to another. If a human does it manually, word by word, it takes a year, they get exhausted, and they inevitably mistranslate things.
Sure.
FLAP is a system that translates the entire 10,000-page book instantly, but it highlights the complex cultural idioms and the nuanced poetry and says to the human expert, hey, double-check these specific 5 pages.
That is a highly accurate way to visualize it. It marries the raw speed of automation with the absolute necessity of human contextual expertise.
Right.
And for regulated industries, preserving the exact business logic without human error translation is literally the difference between a successful modernization and a disastrous, costly regulatory penalty.
But getting the logic moved and fixing the plumbing, that is not actually the finish line, is it?
Not at all. That is just the starting line.
Because the end goal of having clean, organized data in a modern, real-time platform is what that architecture allows you to do next. And what it allows you to do next is deploy purposeful, autonomous AI into your daily operations.
This is where the true strategic value unlocks. We at Kanerika do not just migrate data purely to save you licensing fees. We do it so we can build enterprise-grade AI on top of that foundation.
Because you simply cannot run advanced real-time AI agents on batch process data that is trapped in a legacy on-premises silo.
It's impossible.
The content highlights several incredible autonomous AI agents that we deploy for clients. We have Karl, who acts as a data insights agent. We have DocGPT for complex document intelligence.
Talend is an AI legal summarizer designed to chew through massive corporate contracts.
Mike is an AI quantitative proofreader that instantly catches arithmetic anomalies. And then there's Susan, who is an AI PII redactor, PII being personally identifiable information.
Yes, Susan is incredible.
Let's talk about how these agents actually interact with the new data pipelines. Take Susan, for example. What is the actual mechanism there?
It is a great example of why real-time data streaming is mandatory. Let's say a customer service representative is on a live chat, right?
Okay.
And a customer accidentally types their social security number or full credit card string into the chat box.
Oh, that happens all the time.
In a legacy batch system, that raw, sensitive data gets saved to a massive database. It sits there unsecured all day and is processed overnight.
So by the time someone realizes the compliance breach, the data has already moved through the company.
Exactly. But with a modern streaming pipeline built on something like Talend, the data flows instantly. Susan, the AI redactor, sits directly inside that data stream.
Just monitoring the flow.
Right. She uses machine learning to recognize the pattern of a social security number, even if it is buried in the paragraph of free text. And she dynamically turns those numbers into asterisks before that data ever lands in your analytics dashboard or storage lake.
So she neutralizes the compliance threat in milliseconds, physically altering the data stream in flight.
Yes. And Karl, the data insights agent, operates on that same real-time principle.
Right. If Karl is analyzing logistics data, he isn't looking at yesterday's broken supply chain routes.
He is looking at live traffic and weather data flowing through Databricks or Fabric, instantly predicting a delay and rerouting a shipment before the truck even reaches the bottleneck.
And these autonomous capabilities produce massive, measurable business impact. The content notes that by deploying these specific agents on top of modernized data platforms, we've achieved a $1.2 million average annual savings in logistics operations.
We have also seen a 50% faster time to market for product launches in the fintech and health tech sectors.
We also hit a 28% boost in retail customer retention and 30% faster project timelines in pharmaceuticals.
It's transformative.
Think about that retail retention number for a second. If your customer service team has real-time data powered by an AI agent, they can instantly see a customer's entire purchasing history, current shipping delays, and sentiment score the second the phone rings.
They can solve the problem proactively.
Exactly. But if they are relying on a 24-hour-old batch data from an obsolete Informatica server, the customer is explaining the problem from scratch, getting frustrated, and taking their business elsewhere.
Which is why connecting this to the bigger picture is so important. Modernizing your data foundation is the absolute non-negotiable prerequisite for joining the AI revolution. You cannot have autonomous agents without real-time plumbing.
The plumbing dictates the power of the house.
Yes, and the underlying infrastructure completely dictates the intelligence of the entire enterprise. It is also critical to understand the experience required to execute this.
Definitely.
We at Kanerika have a 10-plus year track record doing exactly this kind of foundational modernization. With over 100 enterprise clients and a 98% retention rate, we do not just theorize about digital transformation or talk about AI in the abstract.
We execute the plumbing safely, rapidly, and then we build the intelligence on top of it. Let's bring all of this together. Legacy systems like Informatica PowerCenter 10.5 are officially dead weights. They are unsupported, they are financially toxic due to per CPU licensing, and they represent a massive security risk.
Very true.
Choosing the right modern platform, whether you need the flexibility of Talend, the structural unity of Microsoft Fabric, or the heavy-duty AI scale of a Databricks lakehouse, is a critical strategic pivot.
And we know traditional manual migrations are a 12 to 18-month trap of lost business logic and blown budgets.
But automated data ops accelerators like the Kanerika FLIP platform turn a multi-year nightmare into a multi-week victory. It preserves your corporate memory and paves the way for real autonomous AI agents like Karl and Susan to fundamentally change how your business operates.
Before we wrap up, this raises a profound question, and it is something I highly encourage you, the listener, to think about regarding your own organization's current infrastructure.
That's the question.
Think about your own organization right now. If your most critical business logic from the last decade, the unique, hard-coded rules that actually make your daily operations function, is entirely undocumented.
Okay.
And it is locked tightly inside a legacy IT platform that just lost official support, who actually owns your company's intelligence? Is it your executive leadership team, or is it the obsolete software?
Wow. That is a genuinely chilling thought. If the legacy software holds the memory and the rules and you are afraid to turn it off, you don't really own your own operations anymore.
The software is holding the business hostage.
If you are ready to take control back from the legacy systems and modernize your foundation, I highly encourage you to check out the AI Maturity Assessment and the Migration ROI Calculator. It is the perfect data-driven next step to see exactly what this transformation looks like for your specific architecture. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the digital shift. We will catch you next time.